Okay, we're live, folks.
Thank you, Becca. Welcome to the August 19th meeting of the Northborough Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Just want to go through and make sure that everybody is connected and we can hear and can be heard. Mary Leach.
Present.
Deidre Writing.
Present.
Sheikha Holland.
Present.
Miriam Ibrahimi.
Present.
Becca Meekins.
Present.
And I am Tim Kalin. I'm present. Becca, do we need the government's or the governor's statement?
Yes, I will read it. And just pull it up there. Okay. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law June 16, 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed, but will have no option for public participation. To view or listen only, visit the live stream link to YouTube posted on the town's website on the DEI's committee's agenda.
Thank you, Becca. First item on the agenda tonight is approval of the July 15th meeting minutes. Did anybody have anything to add or any questions on those minutes? No? Okay, just a roll call vote. Mary Leach?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
Motion made by Deidre, second by Becca. Roll call vote. Mary?
I was not present. I abstained.
Deidre?
Aye.
Sheikha?
Aye.
Miriam?
I will abstain.
Becca?
Aye.
And I, Tim Kalin, vote aye. Meeting minutes are passed. Next item on the agenda tonight is discussion of a social media plan for the committee. So as everybody knows, we made our presentation or update presentation to the Board of Selectmen and got their okay on moving forward with a Facebook page for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. So we just need to discuss the parameters around those, launching, managing content, and who's going to take responsibility for, the different aspects of the Facebook page, and just be on agreement that that is something that we want to move forward with. So Sheikha had done a document that laid out a really great plan on moving forward with the Facebook page and social media strategy in general. And I think that provides some good guidelines for what we need to do, but it's more discussion around the details. And I've got some questions around, Becca, that's around how open, I guess, the page needs to be, just because it is an extension or it is a town committee that is managing the Facebook page. So I guess the first question is launching and administrators for the page. Does anybody have any ideas, or should, like, Mike, does everybody on this committee need to be an administrator for the page, I guess is.
I wouldn't say everyone needs to be an administrator, like a moderator, you mean, Tim? Like someone who's like checking in, make sure comments stay on track and things like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, like somebody that can go into the, I don't know if back end is the right way to put it, but into
Sure.
the
Yeah.
nuts and bolts of the page, like, you know, you happen to take a look at work or in the evening and you see something on there that shouldn't be on there.
Right.
Like, I think we should all have the ability to go in and remove things or edit things or
Mm-hmm.
flag things. And I, just as a regular follower of the page, you obviously can't do that. So I think everybody would need some sort of administration rights.
Got it.
That's just my thoughts. I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody has any, you know, I think it's because if we all don't have it, then select people are going to have it. And then it's going to kind of fall on, you know, a handful of people to make sure that it's staying in the professional or respectful language use or discussion points and those sorts
Yeah,
of
it's
things.
just managing that whole community that we're looking to build on Facebook or extend into Facebook, like make sure that that remains civil. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do it either way. I guess my initial thought was, you know, if we have specific folks who are, you know, kind of responsible, if you will, for managing that, then we all are kind of clear on who to go to if something is not quite right. If everyone has access, I think that's fine too. We could probably do it either way. I guess my initial thought was it might be a little simpler if we have like 2 or 3 people who just kind of know what those guidelines are and are, you know, laser focused on doing that type of work, rather than having us all have access to it, especially since we're only going to be here for a year and then we all have to like kind of be backed out of it and the new team has to be put onto the access level. So that was my initial thought, but I'm open to other ideas from the team. You see 2 different perspectives at this point. I don't know if anybody
That's a really good point, Shika, about the kind of duration of committee members. Tim, as you were talking, I was thinking that if we were all administrators, that raises 2 things for me. One, how much deliberation do we need? Like how much agreement do we need from everyone? And if that doesn't seem feasible to talk every time there's something. So maybe having a set of guidelines so no matter if it's one person or all of us who are on there as administrators, like what are we following to make sure that everybody's wishes are represented, or, you know, a best practices type of thing. So we don't have to wonder, you know, is this something I need to ask everybody about? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I don't.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mary, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, so if we had so Shika, how much time can you put into this Facebook page? Like, would you be interested in kind of taking the lead on it? Is that what you were kind of, your
No,
hands?
that is not what I was implying, but I am happy for us to, you know, kind of discuss what that looks like. I'm happy to, you know, be part of that team of people, whoever that ends up being, if it's all of us or a select few, to help manage it and moderate. In terms of how much time I can put toward it, I don't know. I think that I don't know how big this is going to become. I think that's what this is going to be almost like a test for everybody to see. Once we put this out there and start to hopefully get some traction, we can see how much of an effort it's going to be. I have no idea what it's going to turn into, but I would be committed to being one of the moderators and helping to, you know, make sure that the community stays, as we said, civil, and we build the right kind of information and sharing there that we'd like to see. I'm happy to be part of that process. Yes. But I don't want to be the only one.
No, I guess the one benefit of having everybody involved is we wouldn't miss a post, right? Because we have so many more eyes on the page. I guess the downside could be less control if we have too many chefs in the kitchen. Those are my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Either way,
To Deirdre's point, if we all are following the same sort of rule book on what we're going to respond to and how we're going to respond, I think the challenge with doing something like that, while I appreciate it and I think it's important, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with every scenario. And I don't think we're all going to be able to come up with every scenario. And I think that's when it's going to start to get a little tough if we have all of us in there and we aren't sure, like if something comes up that's outside of the guidelines that we built. I think that's where it can get a little hairy. So I don't have any strong feeling, I guess, either way at this point. We could, yeah, I don't have a strong feeling either way on how we set that piece up. But if we want to try to come up with guidelines, that's fine. I just anticipate that someone's going to stump us and then we're going to have to figure out what we do from there, which is fine too.
Yeah, I think at my job, we run into this, and I think there's where it gets, when it's wrong, and it's very apparent that it's wrong. Like there's not, like you think there's going to be gray area, and there's like, I haven't seen gray. Like it's there's either respectful disagreement,
Yep,
which you want to encourage, which is helpful. It's good to have those types of conversations. And then it's very clear when somebody is just
right.
out there to be purposely hurtful.
Right.
It's like, and again, I haven't seen anybody that is where you read it and you're like, ooh, I don't know. Like it's like, it's so,
Yeah.
To,
as like, can I just, I'm sorry, Becca, just like one example, like the comments that we got in the survey. Like there was comments where somebody made a comment about, I don't feel comfortable wearing my MAGA hat to town common. Now there's a political element to it, but it's also how somebody could feel. There's nothing wrong with that type of statement, whereas some of the other statements we got were just wrong. So I'm sorry to cut you off, Becca.
just going to say, to stay compliant with, public record law and free speech, the fact that it's a page that's managed essentially by a government means people have a lot more leeway to say what they want to say, and we have a lot less control over removing what we deem to be inappropriate. The way that most local governments, and it's mostly police departments who you see have to be stricter with language on their social media pages, but they have community guidelines like Deirdre was talking about. So right on the page, it lays out explicitly what will and will not be tolerated, what type of language will be removed, hate speech. But there are things that are going to be uncomfortable that are posted that we simply won't be able to remove because it won't be a flagrant violation of the guideline, but it will be uncomfortable. I've seen it on other pages, and it's just sort of the reality of being on social media. So I think we have to be prepared for that, and we do have to have sort of an outline of what are we going to respond to and what are we not going to respond to. Even, I don't expect that we'll meet every time there's a post to come up with a response. I think that it probably makes sense to have the staff representative and the chairperson be the administrators. That's what makes the most sense to me. Or, we could add a third person. My only concern with adding more people is that as people come off the committee, you have to make sure that they no longer have access to the page, which would mean changing credentials, and like Sheikha said, this isn't permanent yet. I know it's our hope that it will become permanent, but we do have to, cross that hurdle eventually. So, those are just my thoughts. I think having the staff representative have access to the page, be the one that is checking the page. Obviously, I'm available by email all the time to you all, and we're available to each other. So there are ways for us to communicate, just to give each other a heads up. We just obviously can't deliberate over email. We would have to, set a meeting and if we wanted to discuss something. But I do think before we launch, we do need to draft some guidelines, some community guidelines. So
Do you know if our police department has those community guidelines on their Facebook page? I've never
Yeah.
noticed them. They do?
I believe they do. I'm pretty sure they do, because that's the only way to remove comments is if they go against what's clearly outlined as a guideline ahead of, posted on the page and for the public to see. And you have to make sure that people who comment can't delete other people's comments or their own comments. Because again, once it's on the page, it becomes a public record. It always needs to be able to be accessed. So we just have to make sure we're paying attention to all those little details before we launch.
So what happens if someone deletes a comment on a public page?
I'm pretty sure you can set the settings so that people cannot delete
Okay.
comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if
Yep.
what if a administrator wanted to delete? Like if somebody went on there and said something offensive?
Yeah, I mean, again, if it goes against community guidelines, if it's hate speech or if it's, they're using swear words, whatever we deem to be inappropriate, it can then be removed. But
Okay.
that's the only way you can remove it, is if you have those guidelines in place and they're explicitly stated on the page for everybody to see. So everybody knows ahead of time, if I say this thing, it's going to get removed.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay.
And the other thing I would want to look into is along with the guidelines is anything that said personal attacks against members of the committee or part of the town administration, like you just don't want somebody to go on there and be like, so-and-so is a so-and-so, like that should not be allowed on the page.
Would it make sense to visit some other DNI committee Facebook pages to see what they've done?
Yeah, I'll check out, I think Shrewsbury has one.
Does Westboro?
I can check. All right, well, why don't we, I'll look into the guidelines. Becca, are you available to help out with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just Googled Shrewsbury. I don't know if this is the town sanctioned one, but it's called Shrewsbury Diversity Coalition. I don't know if that's the same group that's been appointed by the local body, but you can see they have group rules laid out right on the homepage. No hate speech or bullying, be kind and courteous, no sale or promotion posts. So we'll be able to sort of take a look at what people around it, what's already been established as sort of the typical guidelines, and we can put a draft together.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Okay, why don't we start with that, putting the guidelines together? Becca, I think it's a good idea to have the chair, the staff member of the committee, and then the moderator or somebody else, have three people that are kind of the administrators for the page. I think that makes sense. And like you said, if anybody sees anything when they're on there, they should be able to get a hold of somebody relatively quickly to get things taken down or get questions answered. It's because it just takes one. That's the problem, is it just takes one person to kind of make a mess of things. And unfortunately, I can already see names in my head of who's going to do that. So, so why don't we start with that? At our next meeting, we'll vote on the guidelines, vote on who the administrators of the page are going to be. Shika, if you do have some time, like if you want to think like the layout of the page, like what we want for the picture and
Yep.
like those sorts of things, and that would be helpful. Because if we can get all this taken care of at our next meeting, we can get this thing up and going in September, which would be great.
Yep. I know that was our goal. So, yep, I'm with you.
Okay. Does that work for everybody? Okay. All right. So next on the agenda is outreach in preparation for our public listening session. We had discussed doing that in September. Does that still make sense for everybody? It's if we do it the middle
It's fine.
September, I want to say September 23rd, was it?
Yeah, can we make it after Apple Fest? Maybe we could use that to advertise.
What I was thinking, maybe early October.
Yeah, if we do October 7th.
When is Apple Fest?
It's the
17th and 18th, I think.
Yeah, that week, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th in there.
Yeah.
Because then the other thing I was thinking too is if we get our next meeting, we get everything set for the Facebook page, launch that will give us a few weeks of having the Facebook page up and going to let people know about the listening session the first week of October. So that will give people a little bit more lead time on the listening session. And from a outreach perspective or a marketing perspective, I guess, to have an extra couple of weeks would be helpful.
I think that sounds good.
I agree with that. I also, I guess on the other end of it, should we be considering when we want to have, I think of that session as data, and like, when do we want to have that all analyzed and packaged in a way that we can present at least part of those results on our final. It seems far enough out, but I wanted to just consider that.
No, that's a good point. And I think and this is just initial reaction. If we were to highlight some of the key points from the listening session and then put a link to the listening session and encourage the selectmen to spend an hour to watch the listening session so they can hear the feedback themselves, like, I'm not opposed to doing that. Like, I think that's something they should do.
How do we advertise for this?
I think just between, like, if we put together, a post on Facebook, with a graphic and create an event and have people that can, sign up for it. That's one way. I can reach out to the Board of Selectmen to have them talk about it during their meetings. That may reach some other people. And then once we do a post on our Facebook page, that's something that we can share, throughout all the various Northborough group pages, Northborough Moms, All Things Northborough. There's, Northborough Mom and Dads, Northborough Dads. I don't know, there's got to be 50 different groups, 100 different groups, so.
Should we be having a sign up? Sorry, Mary.
No,
Or is this more like, you know about it now, just come? The reason I said sign up is because maybe we could send the link directly to people who want to come and like with a reminder, as opposed to completely leaving it up to them to put it on their calendars, et cetera.
Chica, do you know if we were to set up an event on Facebook and, like you click like going or interested, does that give you?
You can put updates on your event, and if the person was interested, it would come up in their feed again, like, hey, is this happening tomorrow, or whatever we wanted that message to say. I'm pretty sure I've seen things like that in the past, and that there's still an opportunity to kind of remind people the way that you were just mentioning, Deidre, without maybe having their direct contact information. So that's definitely an option for us to consider. I think we should do.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody has a different experience, but I'm pretty sure that would be probably the best way for us to do it. Just leverage the event and put a comment or message within the event and then have it show up on people's news feeds that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it seems like at Apple Fest, people need to be liking us on Facebook.
I think that's our key takeaway from Apple Fest. Yes, that's like the call to action. Get on Facebook and like our page.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also think too that the listening session will function a lot similar to public comments for a board of selectmen meeting. So when somebody calls in, like, we have to set, a maximum limit on time so that one person doesn't talk for half an hour. People need to state their names and their addresses. So, we have a name associated with whoever's calling in.
So would that be kind of managed by, like, would Becca do that? Is that something you would do, Becca?
Yeah.
Well, or Becca, or like whoever's running it will just like, we'll have like a waiting room of people that want to come in.
Mhm.
And so you have like a list, and then you let the next person in and they just say, hi, this is so-and-so, I live at, 1 Main Street, and they go on with their comments. And, you have I don't want to have it be a restrictive time limit. Like the board of selectmen meetings are 3 minutes. I don't necessarily know if we need to keep them that short, because the whole point of the meeting is to engage with the public, but maybe a max of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that. So you just don't get into an endless conversation with somebody about their specific situations or concerns, so that you do give everybody an opportunity.
I also think, I don't know who mentioned this, I think maybe it was Deirdre, but I really liked the idea of having prompts ahead of time or like things to think about that we could post ahead of the meeting so that if people didn't have a particular topic or incident or whatever that they wanted to come in and share, they would be able to read the prompt and then sort of just come in and have a brief discussion with us based on that. And we could sort of tailor the prompts around, you know, the kinds of information that we're seeking from people. And I think that would be helpful, and it might draw a bigger audience maybe than just a group of people that might want to come and, you know, complain or, you know, whatever. It could foster maybe a better dialogue that way. And I do just want to mention, I know we talked about October 7th. I think we had initially set a date for the week of September 20th. And I'm wondering if we could maybe, instead of waiting until the 7th of October, if we could do it on September 30th, which is a week later than we had initially scheduled, but a week earlier than October 7th. Only because the timeline is making me a little bit nervous, that's all. And I think it might be better, especially if we're going to do the majority of our marketing at Applefest, which is the week of the 13th. Having it sooner is probably better than having it later.
Yeah, good point.
But I don't, if the committee is okay with that.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yep.
I also have a conflict and won't be at the October 7th meeting, so it's also a little
We're
bit.
definitely going to do September 30th.
For that reason alone.
September 30th, it is.
Exactly.
Becca, you were out. You were out and you sucked your own self back in.
Yeah, I know. No, I want to be there. You know, I'm looking forward to the public listening session. So if everyone's good with the 30th, I think we should aim for that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I just said the 7th because it was 2 weeks after the 23rd. So I just figured that was when our next scheduled meeting was going to be. But
Sorry, Tim.
no, go ahead. Good.
Are we choosing Monday the 30th or just that week of the 30th? Because I would prefer not to do it on the 30th, if possible for me.
September 30th is a Thursday.
Oh, wait.
You're looking at August.
Of course, I'm looking at August.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking August because that's my kid's birthday. But yeah, September 30th is wide open. Never mind.
Hi, Virginia.
Hello. Hi. Sorry
Hey,
I'm late.
Virginia.
How
Hi.
y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Good. All right, so yeah, September 30th works. Let's aim for that. That will give us 2 weeks after Applefest. The goal will be to have the Facebook page launched before Applefest, so that when we're at Applefest, we can let people know that the Facebook page is up. And then have the listening session on the 30th. That will give us time to dig through the listening session to pull out the key points and any other details that we want to include in the final report. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I guess one other thing, agenda item. I don't know if it's for our next meeting or the meeting after, but to brainstorm Becca's idea for the topics that we'll cover.
Yeah, do you want to add that to the agenda for our next meeting and everybody just take a couple minutes and between now and then to think that through and bring in some ideas?
That'd be good.
would it make sense to have somebody, I'm not offering to take on this role, but would it make sense to have somebody kind of chairing that or coordinating that event?
Which event? The listening
The-
session?
The listening session, like kind of
Or
coordinating.
like a
everything.
moderator.
Moderator, somebody that just makes sure that we're staying on top of everything that we want to have accomplished for that event. I mean, Becca does such a great job of doing this for us for every meeting, but I don't know if we need to have somebody kind of oversee, and if not, that's totally cool. And I'm not offering to take on that role. I just thought maybe it would be helpful to Becca if someone could take that lead. But
I think Tim and I can, I mean,
Yes.
we'll make sure that we, covering the bases, and if we need stuff from you all, we'll make sure we get it on an agenda so we can get it out of you. So,
Yeah. And then I think during the listening session itself, I think you're gonna almost need a moderator who just lets people in, make sure they say their name, their address, and watches time. And it's kind of the making sure that the session itself runs smoothly. And then a facilitator type of person that keeps the conversation on the train tracks. And I think that's two different roles.
Didn't you guys just say you would do it, Becca and Tim? One of you take one, take the other? That's what I heard. Sorry.
nice
Yes.
to join us today, Virginia. Thanks for that.
My pleasure.
sounds good to me.
Does anybody else want to facilitate or moderate? I mean, is there anybody who's like itching to?
No, thank you. You're very good at that, the two of you. I nominate Becca and Tim.
I second.
Okay. We can talk about it at the next meeting.
Ooh. Jeez. You know what? That just pays me back. I opened a bottle of water and it went everywhere.
Oh, no.
Everywhere.
All right, so we'll address that at the next. We need a moderator. Anything else on the listening session? Okay. So the next topic on the agenda is Apple Fest. I have talked with Michelle Gillespie, who runs Apple Fest, a couple times, and she's let me know that if we wanted to have a table at Apple Fest that we can. What it is and how it looks and everything else is up to us. So I guess that's the topic. Is it, do we want to do that as a
I
committee?
think we should. I think we definitely should. It's a great opportunity to get big visibility. I'm happy to coordinate.
Okay. All right, that would be great. I think the biggest thing is, I think there's two big elements. So I've done it a couple times with the Council on Aging for the senior center, and they do a really good job. Like they usually have games set up to attract people in. It's a little bit different because they're they're trying to build awareness and get engagement. I mean, we are too, but in a different type of way. And they've been doing it for a while, but they have like a really nice backdrop and pictures, and they have giveaways, and like they do a very good job. So I don't think we need to necessarily do anything to that extent. However, just having an empty table will look odd.
So is it possible that we could have some flyers made with some information, what we're about, our mission, our goals, the committee, and pass it out? And also, if you have someone to staff the booth, then they can talk and get input from other people. Or what we could do is we could do, have a computer and do a mini survey, follow-up survey.
Well, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that.
And then what you could also do is offer people a raffle to, if they participate, a chance to win something, and we can get some feedback.
I was gonna say raffle. I was also thinking of those, it's like a wheel that you spin, and
Yep.
like if it lands on something, you can get maybe something interactive. But yeah, a giveaway type of thing. I like those ideas.
Have any?
You're breaking up there, Mary.
Do we have a budget?
Do we have a budget? Come on.
That would be
Like,
a no.
Like the thing. Just ask.
We can have anything we want as long as it doesn't cost money.
I feel like my husband says that daily. And my answer
We
is
did a lot,
always
my
the
husband.
same, no.
Oh, we should be able to get some giveaways. Okay.
Yes, so, okay, without the backstory, we can get people, the, like businesses in the town to give like
Yeah.
gift certificates or something.
Yep.
Or maybe get people, I mean, there's some local honey, there's some stuff.
The Vidians might give us some fruit or something. I don't know.
I'd be happy to do that outreach. Asking
Okay.
people for stuff, if you want to go that route.
Tim,
That's great.
is she talking about us having a table at the street fair? So we need to be able to set up about 7 and stay until about 1. So we need people to staff the tables.
Yeah, we'll need people to staff the tables. When I for the few years I did it with the Council on Aging, they did 2 people for 2-hour shifts.
Okay. We'll need a tablecloth. We could use a plastic tablecloth. And it'll be hot. The other thing is we could go to BJ's and just buy some water and put some water in a tub and pass the water out, to people who are walking by.
Great idea.
I've been stuck out there many times. So, and, anything that you do will be helpful. So yeah, if you could get a cooler, put some water in, and people, you don't have to get the big bottles. You can even get the small 8 ounces. You can sort of pass them out.
Great idea.
I wonder if for the kind of tablecloth, we could find something that's like a mosaic. I don't know if you've seen my my LinkedIn, but there's like the backdrop is like a diversity image. I think it looks like puzzle pieces, but it's like sexuality, gender, like all of these, religion, different axes of diversity.
Like that.
I haven't seen it, but I'll go look at it.
I say that maybe selfishly. I want one. I really like that image. It makes me think about all of the different ways people can be diverse.
Yeah, I'll do some, I'll look around. I might have some stuff that I can get my hands on. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. We used to do all kinds of conventions and trade shows. It might all be brand specific, but we might have some stuff that's not brand specific that we
I
could
have-
share.
I have a 3x5 Progress Pride flag and a 3x5 Black Lives Matter flag that are mine. I don't know if people are comfortable, but we could put those on the front of the table just for some color, and so people, so we stand out a little bit, and hopefully it will attract people and want them to come talk to us. Just an idea.
That's a good idea.
Good idea, yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
I like that.
Love it. It's great.
All right, what I will do is I'll reach out to Michelle tomorrow and get the details from her. And once I have those, I'll send out an email to everybody with the details. And then at our next meeting, we can do discuss shifts, who's going to be at the table during what times, who's going to pick stuff up. Like, I think the water is a great idea. I wrote down like Italian ice, like little like Italian ice things for kids to hand those out. Getting all that stuff the morning of or the night before, just so we have everything organized. Is there anything that you can think of that we would need to order beforehand, like the flyers? Like, I don't like
We
if
should
there's
do
any,
we should do a flyer or
Yeah.
a trifold or something that just kind of explains our mission. So
Yeah.
Shika, and who's got the marketing background on our committee? Who's the creative?
Well, not creative, more strategic, but that's me. That's me. That is me.
So maybe would you be interested in helping us create like a trifold that we can?
Do we have
print?
someone who actually can make that happen, like in town, or does someone have a connection to someone who does printing, like high quality printing, or do we have to go to Staples?
So I'm not sure how up and running they are, but I chair the Assabet School Committee, and we have a printing and design shop, and I can get things done through them. I just need to see how organized and how available they are.
Okay,
They
that's good to
printed
know.
a lot of the stuff. I chaired the 250, and they did all of my printing and graphics for the 250, so they're very good. And mostly you just have to pay for like the paper, and that's like $10 or $15, which I don't mind contributing, for that. If we could come together with something, I could probably get it printed there.
I'm very happy to contribute financially to whatever we need.
Yeah, same. Are there, Virginia, is it possible to find out the specs that they would need, just so that we kind of know what we need to create and provide to them to hand off so they can print it properly? Is that something that you would be able to find out for us?
Well, they could do anything. Usually it's easier if we tell them what we want.
Okay.
And then they can say what they can do. I can call and find out, we're talking about if we're talking about a trifold,
Yep.
then we would just need to say, this is what we're looking for. They may not have time to fold them, but if they could even copy them we can fold them ourselves.
Right.
But yeah, I'll check with them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is
great.
this is a random kind of ask, but since our main goal, one of our goals, is to try to get people to follow us on Facebook and kind of understand that we have a presence there, I keep thinking in my head, like, it'd be great if we could have like a QR code, people could scan it and just go right to our Facebook page and get themselves signed up with us, or not signed up, but follow us. But I don't know if the team, Virginia, that you were talking about, I assume they might be able to do something like that for us, maybe. But maybe that's an open question that we could find out, because I'd love to be able to make it really easy for people. If they're already engaging with us at Apple Fest, let's just get them to that next step pretty quickly without saying like, go find us on Facebook. Like that's fine, but.
I can make the QR code if you want.
Oh, sweet. I know
Yeah,
there's
and we
some
just put it on the
makers
website.
online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It'll be straightforward.
Be beautiful.
We just need the Facebook page.
We just need the page. Yeah, we need the URL. We'll get on that. But thank you.
Well, can you just go in and set the page up and just have it private for now so that we have the.
So I don't know. You can make it private. I don't know. You can change it after, I suppose, if you want to make it public later. I was kind of playing around while we were on here to see if like what was available, but that should be a possibility if we're comfortable doing that at this point, just having like a placeholder, so that we can get these things done and then we can. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like I will look into that and get that set up.
Perfect.
All right, cool.
And just one question, Virginia, for Assabet, do they need the finished design, or do they just need us to provide them the content and then they do the graphics and the design and everything else?
I think they can do both, but timing is an issue.
Okay.
Because they usually, students are coming back, and then they're training the students, and they use that because the students will do the work. I need to just talk and see, how fast and how organized they would be, because this is the 18th, I believe, of September.
Yeah. So they probably only have like a week or so to get it done, which I mean, it's fine. I just wanted to, because that was my initial thought, that they would be under a lot of, the deadline might be a little bit tight for them to do the graphic design. Somebody like I know people that have done graphic design work for me before for, this type of event. So it's something that I can get done pretty quickly.
How do you want to go about providing the content? Because
I think you'd be really good at preparing it, Deidre.
well, Virginia just basically outlined it for us. She was like, our mission, a little bit about the committee members. So I guess we have to go back to the tape for that list. And then I don't know.
I could probably give it an outline of what I think, and send it out to everybody, or send it to Becca and Tim, and you could take, and they could use it. Would you like?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's and maybe come up with this sort of like a design or something. Doesn't have to be a design; it could just be our title.
Yeah, like it does. I don't think it needs to be anything
And
over the
Tim,
top.
probably,
just
we
as
could
long as it
probably
looks
borrow-
nice and professional. And
we could borrow some of the information you used when you did your presentation to the Board of Selectmen. We could just sort of steal some of those, because you hit a lot of the hot spots for us.
yeah, that's a good idea. It's a very good idea.
Tim, were you saying that you already have some connections with graphic designers that might be able to?
Yes.
Okay. Because another thing that I was thinking I like the idea of the trifold. I was about to say tripod. I need to get rest, clearly. Even 12 hours is not enough. But what I was going to mention was that we might want to consider doing something like an infographic or something more visual for people to be able to kind of digest like some of these key points we're trying to get across. And if we do that now, that's great, or we could do it later as we gather more data and do different things, like something to keep in our back pocket. But if it's something that we want people to be able to quickly look at and kind of get the key points, maybe we want to consider a more visual approach to sharing that information rather than a lot of content in words. I don't know if you guys feel strongly either way, or have any ideas or feedback to that input, but it might be something we want to consider.
Yeah, I thought when Virginia mentioned pulling stuff from the presentation from the board,
Yeah.
The first thing that popped in my head was some of the graphs. And is there a straightforward graph that kind of drives home some of the points that when people look at it, they can pick it up real quick? You know, so it's simple, it's easy, and people will digest, and it will add, it's visual, it will add some color, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another thought, just in terms of how we present it, because I don't want people to get lost in just having a lot to read. Most times you get a couple of seconds for people to scan, and then you might lose them. So,
Yeah, yeah. I try to think of myself, like if I were to go to a table and pick up a trifold, and if I picked it up, and if you opened it up and the whole thing was filled with words, like you'd just be like, nope, and it would go right in the trash, you know, like, so like a little bit of text and a lot of images. And
yeah, if we can.
Also, just one of the things when people come to when people come to Apple Fest, a lot of people just grab a whole bunch of stuff from all the different tables. And then when they get home, they sort through it, they read it, they throw it away and everything like that. So we want to make sure that we put together the message that we want them to have, because that's what they do. Somebody will give them bags and they will fill those bags with everything they can, you know, including food, and look at it and all kinds of freebies. That's the population that usually shows up there. Okay, so don't be afraid of putting those words together that we want people to be able to think about, listen to it, and react to.
Yeah, just be concise.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have to drop off shortly. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Did anybody have anything else on Apple Fest? Okay. So I'll talk to Michelle. I'll get the details on that. Virginia, if you can speak to Ass a bit about printing, I will reach out to a graphic designer. Shika and Mary, can you work on content for the pamphlet?
Sure.
Just
Tim,
those.
I'm sorry, Tim. Did you ever share your deck from the Board of Selectmen meeting? Did you send that or no? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
It would just be good to like use that set of slides as guidelines.
Yeah, I'll send it out tomorrow.
Okay.
If I didn't, I apologize. I should have, but I will.
It's okay.
I will send.
You may
send
have, but it'd be great. Yeah, thank you. Happy to help with content.
Okay, and then Virginia, if you could just send an email with the bullet points that you had discussed.
Okay.
Okay. Miriam, you have anything?
Nope, everything sounds good. If we aren't able to figure out, printing or something, I'm always happy to kind of put together a trifold board as well, if need be.
Okay.
Thank you, Miriam.
Virginia, when you talk to Assabet about printing, can you ask them about printing out something bigger for like, I don't know what size it would be, but 2x4 or 3x5, something that, like, if we took the pamphlet and printed it out big and had that behind the table.
They can do all of that. My only point, I guess, and I need to figure out how quickly they're going to be up and ready to start, you know?
Yeah.
Because they are remarkable. I mean, they could do posters, they could do pictures. They're really good. But again, timing is everything.
Right.
I have a few easels that we can use if we have a poster.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I have a few easels that we can use for the poster.
Okay.
It's great.
All right. That all sounds good. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to discuss tonight? Any new business or anything else to come that's come up? No. Okay. I just have one thing. Becca and I heard from Hamilton today. He actually bought a house in Worcester. So he's moved to Worcester. So he is no longer a resident of Northborough. So he is no longer going to be joining us on this committee. So, you know, congratulations to him on purchasing the new home. That's always exciting. So, you know, best wishes to Hamilton and all the joys of home ownership.
It's great.
Him.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we've had 2 babies in a new house. So we're doing pretty good.
Busy team here.
All right, great. So if there's nothing else, that's everything we had to cover tonight.
Productive.
Motion
Do I have-
to adjourn?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Did you make a motion to adjourn, Becca?
I
I'll
did.
second it.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn by Becca, seconded by Deidre. Roll call vote. Virginia Sims George,
Yes.
Mary Leach,
Aye.
Deidre Writing,
Aye.
Sheikha Holland,
Aye.
Miriam Ibrahimi,
Hi.
Becca Meekins.
Aye.
I, Tim Kalin, vote aye. We are adjourned for the